You've tuned into Killing It Corner, bite-sized YouTube shorts with real conversations featuring people who are redefining life, work, and purpose in their next chapter. No fluff, no retirement rules, just honest lessons learned about what it really takes to keep killing it. Before we begin our session, here's our upcoming guest's bio. Will Liu Kang is a seasoned technology leader and change agent with more than 30 years of experience leading large-scale software business and business transformations, known for turning strategy into execution. He has guided global teams and complex modernization efforts across highly regulated industries. He also advises AI 2030 on responsible AI adoption and workforce readiness. Certified retirement coach and servant leader, is passionate about helping individuals navigate career transitions with clarity and purpose. He is the co-author of The Character-Based Leader, the award-winning author of Seeds of Leadership and Career Breakthrough Playbook, and the host of I Will Aim channel podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Killing It Corner. I am so excited today to have my guest, Will Liu Kang, with me and tell you a little bit about Will, where we met. So Will and I serve on a board together. It is called Porte Management Agency, and it is an up-and-coming sports management company that's going to be using this cool AI feature to help athletes manage their endorsements, even college students managing the NIL. So it's not something I knew anything about, so I'm really excited about it. I'm also glad to be on the board with people with such a knowledge of the industry and knowledge of technology. So welcome, Will.
Thank you, Lisa. Really excited to be on your podcast and looking forward to have a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about where you are in your journey right now.
Where am I in my journey? I'm in the season of transitioning from corporate into my own personal practice. I spent 34 years in the corporate, did a lot of things in technology, but at the same time, I was very passionate about people. And I learned early on in my career that people are my most important asset. Even though I was a technologist, I thought was the software that I'm writing was the most important. But then I realized as I moved through my journey that people are my most important asset, and I took interest in that and learned more about being a leader. And I said to myself as I continue my technology career that at some point in the future I want to be doing things that I really love, I'm really passionate. So this is the season that I'm in right now. I'm in it for a year and a half now, learning a lot, growing a lot, facing a lot of challenge, but it felt good to wake up in the morning and do something. When people joke around, when you do something you love, it's not like you're working. And in many ways I believe in that. So yeah, that's the period I'm in, and really excited.
I have to agree with you that you kind of doing what you love. You wake up in the morning and you don't feel dread about, oh my gosh, it's time to get up and do whatever. You actually feel some level of excitement and you almost have to tap yourself down so that you're not just overdoing it. And so tell me a little bit about what you're excited about today. What are some of the things you're working on that you're excited about?
There's a couple of things that's in the pipeline right now. I think I released my third book last year, October last year, Career Breakthrough. We're in the mix of writing book two. It's going to be a 5 book series over the next 4 years. So we're in book two right now. I'm doing all the reviewing, the editing, and really excited how it comes together. So that's one. The other part is my podcast. You have a podcast. The one gift that I love about doing my podcast is meeting interesting and smart people and learn from them. I felt like that was the best gift I ever had being a podcast host is every single person that I met, I wouldn't even in a million years I probably wouldn't even run into them. But because of the technological advancement and how we could, like, I've never met you in person, right? That's a reality. But we were in the board for over a year now, and we interacted. The technology gave us this advantage that as a podcast host, I'm able to take advantage and meet so many great people and learn from them, and also being able to give them a platform to send their message out. And the third thing is the company that I started with two other people is helping people with their career growth, helping with retirement coaching. You're a fellow retirement coach, so of helping people with their planning their retirement, the season of joy, in my opinion, and then also working with organization to look at how they optimize and organize. When I talk about optimization, it's not about cost. It's about how do we become more efficient? How do we give our people more time? And I had a conversation with one of the CEO a month ago, and he was saying, I want to cut costs. And I said, well, I don't think that's a good start of a conversation, is you want to cut costs. I said, what are the challenges that you're facing? And I'm having challenges with my sales pipeline, my sales lead. Then maybe we should look at the process and identify where can we create efficiency in those space where the lag time and the wait time are shorter, and therefore your people could spend more time with your client, your more important client, and having a conversation with them. It's like, why would I do that? I said, that's what's missing right now with everything with AI and advancement of technology. The FaceTime with a client is the most important thing we could do, right? Just having conversation, sitting down, even having a meal with your client, your most important client, they would remember that. And he was like, that's interesting.
You are so right. Technology has been wonderful in so mmany ways because we can do so much more, but it is taking away the contact, the FaceTime, the coffee time. It's there's nothing like in person. I look forward to the time that we can actually meet in person because I've only seen Will over Zoom calls and Google Meets. I think that's a missing art. And I love the question to people about that's not really the problem. Let's dig deeper and down the question, which is the art of coaching, right? So you're a natural
Yes.
coach, and I have to thank you because you're the one who led me to the retirement coaching. I'd never actually heard of it, and I was in the midst of my training for executive coaching
Ah,
when I saw you post that, and I was like, "What is retirement coaching?" Looked into it, loved it. I just think to your point, you're it's helping people get to their next best, right? So we think that we've put our best when we're working, but the reality is that next season to me is this season now is fantastic when you can do whatever you want.
absolutely. And I love that you actually got into retirement coaching, because the more people like us out there, the more we could help people understand retirement is not just about don't not having a schedule, and not just not having a schedule, but being able to do the things that you want in a more intentional fashion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I think one of the challenges is I talk about when, and the higher up you are in your career when you retire, the more difficult it's going to be for you to figure out what's next. Because, I've talked to so many people and they say, who am I without my title? So you get to the stage where you're going to step away, you're not going to have that title. You have to rediscover yourself to some degree because you've been in that role, you've been doing that, and that's been a huge part of your identity. And the identity piece, I think, is one of the most underestimated impacts of retirement. I think you'd agree with that.
Yeah, you kind of lost your sense of purpose, because when, like you said, the higher up you are, the more people want your time. And when you're in the corporate space, you barely have any time to even have a meal, right? Even call your loved ones, right? And when they call you, you look at your phone like, I'll call them later. And it's interesting, but people miss that. They talk about like the financial part, but the purpose part is the most important, because once you lose your identity, that's where things can unravel.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree with you. So tell me a little bit about when you stepped into this next season. Was there anything that surprised you? Were there any assumptions that you had about going into this next season that you were like, I didn't expect that?
Absolutely. The number one is I'm bad at selling. I'm bad at selling. And I thought I was a good salesperson in technology. And I realized few months into it that as a technologist, you're building solution to help your business. And even though you're articulating and you're rationalizing what problem you're solving and they're buying into it, that's not selling. That's more like convincing because you both work in the same side of the equation. And as I start doing the business with a couple of my partners, we really need to do cold call. We need to do cold outreach. And the lesson that I had to learn to say, number one, don't take it personally when people said no, because you're gonna get like 10 no's before you even get
Exactly.
one yes. Right. And that to me was the hardest part. And it took me like a couple of months to like learn to be comfortable when people said no. It's not a no to you, it's no to your offering, right? It's not a personal thing, and that took me a while to actually learn. And also, I think the one thing that you don't think when you're in a corporate is everyone does certain jobs, right? So things kind of move along, and then when you're doing your own thing, all of those jobs are yours, right?
100%, 100%. You are now your IT, your marketing, and when you've not been in those spaces, it becomes it's not just the doing, it's the learning, right? So we're
Yes.
learning how you're learning how to do your business things, learning how to, you know, have downloads, learning how to use all this social media and use it to your benefit. And it's, I mean, it is a challenge when that's not been your space. And so I have to tell you that that's been some of my challenges. Building business, regardless of whether you've retired into the business or this building a business is difficult altogether, but when you're kind of just moving into it, but you don't really want it to be full time, which is the challenge. You really still want to be partially retired. That's even harder because you're finding that balance. So have you had difficulty finding that balance of, let's see, how much do I want to work?
So far, I have not. Things have so far worked out in a very weird way where when I need to do more, I do more. But the one thing that I've experienced now that I'm doing more public speaking is you get invited to do a Sunday public speaking, which I did over the weekend. So when I got the invite, I was really, oh, it's a Sunday. I'm supposed to, and my mental my mental thing is it's my rest day, it's my learning day, and I got invited to speak at an event. And at first, when I got the invite, received the invite, I was like, that's a Sunday. But then I have to now, like you said, there, your time, even though you're in that season, sometimes you don't control your time. I think it depends on the opportunity. So I said, I want to give it a try. I want to go. And I'm so glad I went because not only did I totally enjoy it, the audience really loved the topic too. So that was a learning for me because normally my Sunday is a family day, unless my kids back in the days were in sports. So we're driving around the different states with soccer tournament and golf tournament. And you don't even know which day it is anymore. You just want to get back to New Jersey before Sunday night because they need to go to school the next day. But after those are done, it's just like Sunday is just family day. And now I had to go and speak, and I was like, oh, that's something that I need to really learn and adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. I found that, you know, when you're working, your Saturdays and your Sundays are your what you do. And I found that with speaking, sometimes it does quite often seems to happen on a Saturday. So I've had maybe two or three now on a Saturday. And then so I've got two coming up. One is on a Friday and the other one's on a Saturday morning. And I'm thinking to myself, Saturday morning isn't it like a day I would actually get out of bed to do anything much? So it is a very interesting shift. So when you think about my phrase killing it, what does that look like for you right now?
To me, my phrase, the definition of the phrase killing it is doing what you love. There's two definitions. One is doing what you love. And the second part, which I think is the dream goal, is financially really killing it, right? And I think all of us can relate to that. But at least the first one, I'm doing it. I'm doing what I love. I'm energized when I wake up in the morning. I'm looking forward to meeting the people that I'm gonna speak to in an event. And I think those are things that, and I'm not saying I didn't have those feelings before, but it was very different. When you found something you really love and you want to do that versus the things that pays the bill, right? There's two different things. And it's not that it's wrong. That's part of the journey. uh, Part of the journey is us realizing what we really want and what we really want to seek in the end in the end of that time, and what do we want to do. And when you found that out, you should spend some time in that space. You should practice. You should feel what that feels like. And I think I'm so glad I did that a little bit here and there throughout my journey, because if you just jump into the pool and never swim, it's going to be so hard. But since that I was playing on the side a little bit and practicing and learning, by the time I went in, it was comfortable. I was comfortable doing it. And I think that was my key learning is I'm so glad I doubled in a little bit here and there throughout with coaching and teaching and things like that. So when I finally decided I'm jumping in, I'm more comfortable in what I'm doing. There's the marketing, there's the sales that I was like trying to figure out. But the main thing that you want to do, you know how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love you. It's part of we're going to lead into the next question because you said you jumped in. So you'd already had a little bit of experience doing some of this stuff, which sounds like a good opportunity for other people to think about, right? What are you doing now? Or what could you be doing now to prepare? If you were going to give advice to someone who is either thinking about seriously about this next transition, they're going to retire, they're thinking about retiring, or they just want to make a shift, what advice would you give them?
Seek a coach. If you want to retire, seek a retirement coach advice. Work with a retirement coach, and what you'll get out of it is so much more valuable than what you think you could get out. Retirement is not financial. That is about retirement. It's not about financial. It's more than that, and it's about relationship. If you're a couple, it's about relationship between the two of you. Because I had a coaching client where the husband wants to do wood shop after retirement, and the wife's like, "What are you talking about?" And they almost started arguing in front of me. I was like, hold a minute. That's why we're talking about this 8 years before you retire. And both of them like, yeah, we got time to talk about it. So we could iron this out. Imagine if you both retired and the guys start buying stuff and building a workshop without really telling you. Everything comes through Amazon, comes a package. It's like, what are all those? It's my wood shop. Like they're gonna explode. I think the other part is if you found something you really like to do, double in it, practice, get yourself in that space every so often so you really know that's what you want to do. Like coaching and leadership training and helping people with their organizational development was something that I really want to do. So I was doing a little bit of here and there. And back in the days was weekend. I go on a weekend. I go after office. Right. I I I I, I either participate or I host an event that allows me to get my feet wet and practice. And also the one thing that was really important to me is was really validating that I really want to do it. And that was so immensely important for me during my journey because every instance that I do a workshop, a speaking engagement on a weekend back then, I had this energy and I had this like feeling of happiness that's very different than the regular work. And that's when I found out this is what I want to do.
Yeah, that is fantastic advice because I think it helps us to figure out what we do and don't want to do, which is as important in retirement. What you don't want to do is as important as what you want to do. And to your point, I've having somebody to bounce this off of to talk it through. That's really part of a big part of what the retirement coaching does. It allows people to expand their thinking. And to your point, particularly couples, I was talking with a couple and her idea was, hey, I want to, go to all these different countries. And he's not that person. He's like, okay, let me know when you get back. But he did want to drive around the country. Like he wanted to drive around the United States. And she said, well, I could do that too. And I was like, but that's great. You've had this conversation now where you can kind of come to the middle where he doesn't feel like he's missing out because you're going to all these different continents. You can maybe still do that with a friend or two, but then you have this thing that you guys are doing together, which is rent an RV and travel around the country. So just having those conversations becomes vitally important in your next phase of life.
And I really love that you told that story because that is immensely important. Imagine you went into your retirement phase and start arguing about that. That's
Right.
when couple divorce. I observed that for the longest time. I was wondering why when couple retired they end up divorced. It's because they never had the conversation entering into it. And then when you in retirement and you have an argument, The two are you are locked in your house. That emotional
Right.
baggage that you both had, it's going to cause a lot of problem because either one of you try to you prove your point, but if you're you're like 8 years 6 years before you hit retirement, you have time to discuss because nothing is materially happening until 6 years from now, 7 years from now, 4 years from now. But if you're both on retirement and you start arguing, you're locked in the house by yourself. No one can get you out, and there's no other people because everyone's busy working.
Yeah, everyone's still working, and you're so right. Having these conversations early because oftentimes, particularly in couples, they don't know what the other person has in mind for retirement until they have the conversation.
True, true. Until you articulate it, right? We a lot of times we try to read people's mind, and or make a assumption that they like that. Even with food. Oh, I thought you like it. I don't really like that, but you kind of assume, and then you found out, oh, we married so many years, I didn't know you didn't like that, right? And it's that
Absolutely.
that still happens.
Well, it has been fantastic having you. Thank you for coming and sharing. Tell us about your book and where to find your books and podcast.
My books is on Amazon, Seeds of Leadership and Career Breakthrough. Thank you, Lisa, for the opportunity. Podcast is in YouTube. I will aim discover a better version of yourself. Thank you, Lisa, for the time and opportunity. I'm really appreciate it. Have a good day.
It has been great having you.